right, hey, welcome to Model Building Start to Finish. This is John sitting with Dan here, and there's just a little bit more before it really starts looking done.
Yeah. We've got the shell more complete than not complete at this point. Last time we worked on the fans and the lift rings and some of the roof details, and today I'm going to finish up some of the other roof details and a little bit on the cab.
All right.
So let's get started. So this locomotive has a rear-mounted air horn, or at least it did in 1995, which is kind of my target date. There's basically two choices. It has a Leslie S3 horn with the big bell on this side. And this is a Details West part, and this is a new Athearn part. And the one advantage that the Athearn has is that it has a base on it, because this a lot of Santa Fe engines had the antenna mounted on a little triangular stand.
I can see it there.
Yeah, so I think I'll use the Athearn part. Now, the only thing about this is it seems a little too tall. So I'm going to shorten it a bit.
Okay. What, with a file or?
Yeah, I think what I'm going to have to do is cut some material from either side on the bottom and then kind of file it down a little bit.
Okay. So I have a dumb question, Dan.
Okay.
If it needs to be shorter anyway, why not just use the other one?
I just thought it might be a little easier to shorten this than to fabricate a whole new bracket.
Oh, so you'd have to fabricate that triangular thing?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Which I've done that before, usually using a small strip of brass and then drilling a hole in it and bending it to shape, which really isn't that big of a deal either. But I want to try using this part. So I think the safest way to do this is just the old-fashioned way with a file. So I'm just going to, file and work some of this bottom off.
So I think I see what you did there. I thought you were going to file down the post, but all you really did was make the bottom part of the triangle thinner.
Right. I did have to thin the post out a little bit, front and back, so it's more like the diameter that goes up. Because what I want to do is drill a hole, and that'll be the mounting post for the horn.
Yeah. So the one on the right is the modified one.
Right. That's the modified one, and this is the stock one. This is Athearn part 1210, by the way, and they come 3 to a package. Okay, so after carefully studying photos, I determined that the horn should go right about there. And unfortunately, I don't have a really good roof shot of this engine, so...
Guesswork.
Yeah, it's close to the right place if it's not the right place. Anyway, I drilled the number 64 size hole, and this will just fit right in, like that. Now, I'm not going to glue it yet, because I think it'll make it a little easier to paint the model with the horn not there, and I'll just paint the horn separately. Even though on this engine the horn is going to be blue like the rest of the roof. Some Santa Fe engines, the horn is yellow, so depending on which one you're modeling, you may have to do something a little different. I'm going to start on the roof now, and since it's a big thing and something that can be glued on right away, I'll start with the air conditioner. Now, I've made a mark right here with my X-Acto knife, which is 2 feet back from where the headlight would be mounted if the headlight was still up here.
Oh, scale feet, right? Is that
Scale
what you were
feet,
using that
yeah.
ruler for? Okay.
Yeah. Which I'm pretty sure is just about correct for this engine. I've been poring over reference photos and, trying to figure it out. But and then it should be centered side to side. So all I'll do now, once I'm satisfied with the positioning, is glue it with some liquid styrene cement.
Now that has a little bit of give if you needed to scoot it, right?
Yeah, I can do some final positioning.
Okay.
Which I'm going to do right now. This air conditioner is Detail Associates Part 2309, by the way, vapor type air conditioner. So what I'm doing now that I've glued it for real is I've got some 600 grit sandpaper, and I'm just kind of flattening out some of the glue residue.
Oh, right, because you were using that liquid styrene cement stuff, huh?
Now, it's probably thin enough it wouldn't show under the paint anyway, but this is just kind of a little precaution.
I could see on the other side where you've already sanded a little bit.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to put on is the other big part on the roof, which is one of these antenna bases. And from looking at photos, it appears that I need this one, which consists of the antenna base itself and then a stand. And it also has a drill template, which is kind of handy.
And where did this come from?
This is a Details West part number 352.
Okay.
It includes some other antennas and things that
just
we might...
in case?
Yeah. We won't be using this one, but we might use some of these small ones. So the easiest way to get these parts free is to use these little nippers for photo etch parts.
And here I was thinking that the easiest way to do it was to get someone else to do it.
Well, yeah, but there isn't anybody else to do it, so...
You could have asked me to do it, but I don't know if I would have cut them right.
Like usual, whenever I cut something off like this, I clean up the little residue with the file.
Yeah, we don't always show that.
Yeah, but you kind of have to unless you want to have these little nubs and burrs on your parts. The stand has little photo-etched creases.
Score marks to bend it.
Score marks, yeah, to make it easy to bend the legs. So the only thing is you want to make sure not to bend these more than once. You just bend them and then leave them bent, because otherwise they can snap off.
I could see how that would happen because it's thin.
Yeah. So just...
Have you done that? Have you ever, like maybe when you were first starting doing this stuff, you're like, oh, I messed it up, I need to bend it back, and the thing just pops off?
Yes, that's how I know this.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I think I've seen you do one of these before. It just looks like a table when it's done, right?
Kind of, yeah. These two parts now need to be put together, and you could either glue them or solder them. I think in this case I'll just glue it.
Okay, and how do you determine the orientation?
Well, the top part of this, I don't know if you can see these, it has some little
holes, right?
Well, they're little bolt heads or something.
Oh, okay. They look like holes on the from where I'm sitting.
And these two are spaced closer together than these two, and they're basically the same as the legs.
Mm-hmm.
So the two short legs go under these, and the two longer legs go under these.
Oh, I see.
And then there's a little hole in the middle, and there's a little hole in the middle of this one. Not the two big holes, but the little tiny hole.
Right.
So those need to line up.
But that goes on the other side, though, right?
Right. This goes on the bottom.
And
then you just line them up, and then I'll use some CA glue. I think the bigger holes are there just to make it a little easier to glue it. It needs to be mounted about here. However, because the air conditioner is already in place, and maybe I should have waited. But the drill template is too far back.
Oh, right.
So what I think I'm going to have to do is file the front of the drill template to remove some material so it'll get close enough to the AC.
So watching what you were doing here for the past couple of minutes, I think having the air conditioner in there is not a bad thing, Dan, because it's giving it a front place to set, to rest.
Right, and it also helps to position it. So the reason I wanted to do that is because everything else on the roof kind of fits around the AC unit. So that's why it made sense to me to put that on first. Anyway, what I did is I took a big flat file and I just removed some material from the front of this. And then what I'll do is put it up against the air conditioner and then make sure it's centered. And then I'll go ahead and drill through all 4 holes here.
What size bit are you using?
I'm going to start with the number 76. That may be too small, but I can always make them bigger. Okay, so I've gone ahead and drilled the holes, and turns out they are about the right size.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is just a press fit inside.
So you don't glue it, or are you going to wait, or what's the...
Definitely going to wait because the cab is yellow.
Oh.
This part is going to be blue.
Oh, what a pain.
Yeah.
Why do you pick the hardest ones, Dan? Jeez.
Well, this is the actual antenna that goes on top of the antenna stand.
Okay.
This is a Sinclair long antenna, and it's Details West Part 274.
Right.
So I'm going to nip off this little molding thing here.
Oh, I see. Is that your post then?
Well, this is actually too big to fit through the hole in the middle. So unless I want to drill that out, which actually wouldn't be a horrible idea because it would probably be a little more secure than just gluing it on. But I'd have to drill the hole bigger because this hole's too small for this little remnant of a post there. So I think I'm just going to file this off and then just glue it on.
Yeah, I'd be so worried that it wasn't going to stay just by gluing it. But, it's not like you throw these things around or something. You can see he's being really careful to get that dead center. Can't talk. He's concentrating too much.
Yeah, there. I think that looks pretty good. This is the same sheet that I cut the bigger antenna stand out of. On this engine, there's also a couple of smaller stands,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to use these. However, they need to have a few holes drilled in them, and it's a little bit easier to drill the holes while they're still on the fret
Uh-huh.
than it would be if I take them off. So one side that goes on the engineer's side just needs one hole. The one on the fireman's side needs 3.
Jeez.
So I'm just working from photos, and I've arbitrarily decided that this will be the engineer's side one. And I still got my number 76 drill bit, which I think is fine for this. And I just need to position this and then drill it. All right, so I've drilled the holes, and I've also used a little 600 grit paper just to roughen up the surface to make it a little more paint friendly.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, paint may slip right off of it, huh?
Well, it'll probably work anyway, but I didn't do the other one because it had those nubs on it
Mm-hmm.
for the bolt holes, and I didn't want to mess it up. But I'll just use my nippers and cut these out.
And is it the same thing where those post things have to be bent, or do you file
Well, not
those
the
off?
posts themselves, but the
Oh,
see
I
how
see.
it's scored on the back?
Yep, I see it.
So I need to do this.
And this is for both of them?
Yeah.
Oh, and the posts are for the holes where you stick it
Right.
inside? I got it.
And there's actually another drill template
Oh, right.
right here where it says BC.
Uh-huh.
And I've already determined that these go just behind the air conditioning unit,
Mm-hmm.
kind of even with the other antenna, the front of it.
Why don't you put those on and we'll take a look at them?
Okay. Okay, so I used the drill template and drilled the holes. And now these little antenna stands should just fit right in.
I see one on each side,
Yeah.
like you were saying before, huh?
Yeah.
So now, are you going to glue these in too, just not yet, or what?
These can actually be glued before painting, but I don't want to glue them quite yet because I still have to make all the conduits and everything that go with this.
Somehow I knew there was going to be more pain in the butt factor to it.
Yeah. Next, I'm going to nip off most of the stem, but I'm going to leave a little bit of it because I don't want to take the whole thing off. There. This is a short Sinclair antenna. This is Details West Part 275.
It's really small.
Yeah. There's 2 of these that I'll be using on this model, and they go on the little antenna stands.
Oh,
There's
the
the
ones
smaller
you just,
antenna stands.
the ones you just put on,
Right.
One to either side, yeah.
Right. So how I'm going to do this is because these are so small and easily knocked off, first I'm going to clean it up so that I'll get rid of there's a little bit of a flare where this round part meets the rest of the casting.
Uh-huh.
So I want to make it so that it's round right up to the bottom
Mm-hmm.
and get rid of that little flare. So I'm going to very carefully use this little file and just file away some material until it's round. Okay, so the next part of the operation is to enlarge the hole on the top of the antenna stand.
Mm-hmm. So this is why you didn't glue those antenna stands on the cab, huh?
Right, not just yet, yeah. So this is a number 62 drill bit, and I'm just going to ream this hole out. The next step is to glue the antenna into the hole that I drilled. I just put a little drop of CA on that little stub of the stem that's left and just stick it in the hole.
Oh, it is so small.
Yeah, there it goes. Now make sure it's straight. All right, so now that I've got all the antennas on, I can start working on some of the plumbing.
Just when you thought it was over.
Yeah, no, not quite. So there are some conduits. There's an air conduit for the horn in the back, and then there's 3 conduits for, I guess they're electrical conduits for the antennas.
Okay.
So the horn conduit is probably the most involved, so I'll start with that one. I'm going to start by drilling a hole right about here. Now on the Santa Fe SD40-2s, when they were built, the horn was actually mounted up here. And I think when they moved it back, they just ran an air line from the original horn location back to the back. So this is a number 78 drill. I'm just going to drill right into the top of the cab where the old horn would have been. This represents my best guess as to what was really going on in this engine because I do not have a really good roof shot of it.
Uh-huh.
From the photos I do have, it appears that the conduit runs like this, comes along the side of the AC unit, then bends around the antenna stand. I took the antenna stand off so you can see this a little better.
Right.
And then comes straight back to the horn, and then there's a little tiny bend up into the horn.
And what is this? 020 or?
This is 010 wire.
010 brass wire.
010 brass wire, yeah. I'm not going to glue this on yet because the cab is yellow. Blue starts right here.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, so if this is, and this doesn't fit flush against the hood, it's going to stick up a little bit.
Yeah, so you can't tape it.
You can't tape it. It would make this almost impossible to mask. What I did with my other engine was I painted the entire conduit yellow and then got it with a brush on the blue part because it was just, you just can't, you try to put tape on this, you're either going to destroy it or pull the paint off or something, it's just
nothing good can
thankless.
happen.
Right. All right, so next I need to drill some holes for the electrical conduits. And I do have a fairly good collection of cab shots, not quite roof shots, but like from the side and things.
Yeah, just enough where you can see this.
Right. And it appears that on this engine, the conduit, well, there's a pair on this side and there's one on the other side. The two outer ones seem to go straight back from the front. So I'm trying to line up the hole I'm about to drill with this little hole that's on the outer. See, there's a little hole in the antenna stand.
Okay.
The outer one. So I basically want to drill a hole so I can bend a piece of wire and run it straight back.
Oh, I see.
All right, so I've bent some conduits out of 012 brass wire. Two of these are the same. The conduit on the engineer's side, which there's only one. And then on the fireman's side, this is the outer conduit. And then there's a second conduit on the fireman's side. And this one, hopefully you can see this. There's a slight bend here.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I didn't put the other bend in the end. These bends here represent the shorter one will actually be simulating the conduit that goes up and touches the small antenna. To be honest, I'm not really sure what the other one does. I think it goes to the larger antenna, but I have no roof shot. So, and in order to simplify painting, I think I just am going to cut it off and just have it go into the short antenna stand hole that I drilled and leave it there.
Okay.
All right, so I've temporarily put one of the conduits in place. And now what I'm doing is I'm using a number 79 drill bit, and I need to drill some holes for the supports.
Okay.
Which should go directly under the conduit. And there's going to be actually two pairs of them on the fireman's side, one right here and then one slightly back. And then on the engineer's side, there apparently is only one.
Okay.
So I just need to drill them in the appropriate places. So I've got some more of these Plano lift rings. These are the part number 14652. And I'm going to use these as the conduit supports. The way they say to use these is to fold it in half and put them together. But I just like to cut this into two and use them as separate parts. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to thread this lift ring onto the wire.
Yeah, I don't even know how you can see this. It's so small. Jeez.
I've taken some of the stuff off the roof to make it a little easier to work with here. And the front of the conduit goes in the front hole.
So you actually have two of those things threaded on?
Just one on this side.
Because some of these need two, don't they?
The ones on the other side need two each, yeah.
Oh my God.
This is a little hard to do, but I got to position it in this hole. Now, here's the tricky part. I had to thread the antenna stand onto the conduit.
Oh, geez. And you're going to glue all this down sometime soon, right?
Yeah. So I took the shell off the frame so I can get to the inside. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure of is that the conduit should be parallel to the top of the cab.
Right.
You want to make sure it's not like tilted down or something like that. And then I'm going to turn it over and glue it from the inside.
Oh, see, I would have already given up by now.
I got these glued from the inside. I can't glue that front from the inside, though, because there's no way to get to it.
Uh-huh.
So what I've done is I got a little tiny droplet of CA glue on a piece of brass wire, and I'm just going to touch it right where the conduit goes into the body.
The old brass wire trick. That's what I call that. People who have been watching our stuff know this trick.
Right. After a lot of fussing and fiddling, I got the conduits on the fireman's side mounted.
You could hear some cussing coming from the other side of the table from time to time there, Dan.
Yeah, well, it's actually pretty tricky to get all hooked up because there's two supports.
Yep.
And everything has to be threaded together and in the right holes. And I think it looks fine with this extra conduit just ending right in here.
Yeah.
Because I think probably what it does, well, actually, I've found some older pictures of this engine like from the 80s, and there was actually an antenna back here.
Oh.
So I think originally this conduit probably ran back there because I've seen some Santa Fe engines like that. So my guess is in the 90s, this thing probably either stopped in here and they ran a wire to this antenna, or it curved somehow and went up under this antenna. But again, I don't have a roof shot, and also everything's so close together here you can't really see it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the front of the cab there, just over the front windows and number boards. It looks fine. That's really what you're looking for, right? That little bit of busyness up there.
So I think it'll do the job. There's another conduit on the front of the cab, and it starts kind of down in the corner.
Okay.
Right here, it runs up along the side of the nose, and then enters the cab right around this area.
Uh-huh.
So I need to drill a little hole up here and then fabricate a conduit from another piece of 012 wire.
There it is.
Yep, there it is. So now that that's done, there's one last thing to do, and that's to put the little post that runs from the top of the nose to the underside of where the headlight would be if the headlight was still here.
Okay.
A lot of Santa Fe engines had that. I'm not really sure what the point of it was, but it's there, so I'm going to model it. Okay, so for this, I'm going to drill a hole in the top of the nose, in the very center, and just a little bit out from where the windshield is.
Okay. This is another benefit to having the nose still detached, huh?
Right, that and painting, but it'll be right about here.
What size of drill bit is it?
I'm using a number 76 this time. After the engine gets put together, I'm going to use a piece of 019 brass wire that'll just come up through the bottom and then just butt up against the bottom of the headlight area.
Oh, I see. But now, do you glue that into the nose now, though? Or do
no,
you have
I'm
to
not
wait?
going to. I'm going to put the. I won't even put this on until after the engine's painted and ready to be assembled for real.
Won't it be hard to paint it, though? Because the nose top is blue, isn't it? And the conduit's yellow?
Right. That's another reason not to glue this on right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty good place to stop this time. Pretty much all of the roof detail is now done. The only thing really left on the outside of the locomotive that can be done before painting is to get the ditch lights ready.
Okay.
So we'll do that next time.
Sounds like a plan. And I guess then we'll catch everybody on the next episode. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks.